Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Lumiere Learning Monday. We have our guest, Dr. Sudha Srikanth, for this third season, episode 11. And tomorrow being tomorrow being the uh, International Women's Day, I am absolutely delighted and honored to have Sudha as our guest. Sudha, you have been second time guest with us, and the first time was when you came and talked to us about emotional intelligence, if you remember, in our office in 2010.
Yes,
And good 12 years later, we meet again on this platform. So thank you so much, Sudha, for being our guest today.
I'm so humbled and honored. Thank you.
So, Sudha, you have done some very interesting things, including one of the things that was on my to do list, which is to start a nursery and a daycare. And you did the Little Steps Nursery for 13 years and, have been a pioneer in the whole area of early childhood education. And what I find very interesting is, you do certain things and then you take a pause and you do something new again. And then you went and did your PhD after that. Uh, you have been working in this space of emotional intelligence. You worked with adults, you worked with kids. You've also done a lot of work in the field of education. And also recently, you had a talk on 21st century skills in education recently in
Yes.
January. So multifaceted, and now again you found a new challenge, which is working in the area of diversity and inclusion. So maybe we want to tell our listeners, our viewers, a little bit about how all of these things have come together in your life to where you are at this point, uh, and the work you do. So we'll come to that, but tell us how it all started.
Firstly, about little steps, I would say we're really fortunate and blessed that we could provide this service for 2 decades. Little Step was on for 20 years, nurturing young children, and it allowed us to evolve as individuals, the entire team. And as rightly pointed out, it's just that different things. Once I get involved, I like to really get the essence of it in totality. And for the present journey that we are in terms of, let's say, bringing purpose to life, it all started once my husband Srikanth and me, once we felt we've like sort of achieved our goals, we've achieved our professional goals, and then it was in pursuit of nobles. So it was through a vision. This came about in the month of July, after our son got married. Daughter got married 5 years before. So early morning, when I woke up, it was like a vision, as if Tirupati Balaji is just guiding me. It was an inner call, come here. And we didn't know what that call was all about. In fact, I had not really done anything actively for the community or for a social cause, apart from just monetarily funding, Navjeevan Blind Relief Center at Tirupati. So then, like, we were just wondering whether it has to be relocating and coming and finding a cozy corner over here and to do something. And then when we brainstormed, both of us, like, we felt like, okay, why don't we reach out to the founder of Navjeevan Center and just check out whether there are any possibilities. So this happened sometime in August 2020, and he wrote to the founder of Navjeevan Blind Relief Center, Dr. Sridhar Acharya, and gave a brief of our profile, also talking about interest in providing our services at the ground level, at the grassroots level, at a pro basis, not having any expectations. Uh, so it was very kind of him to say that we feel really honored that you are even thinking of something like you are welcome to be with us. We may not be able to compensate in terms of any like salary or something like that, but definitely provide you with comfortable living, we'll provide a room, and your food will get taken care of. And at that point in time, when we thought through, we said we don't really require anything much. The time to probably get into a minimalistic living, and just sort of I won't say enjoy, because you don't know it is till you're actually into it. So I say let's explore minimalistic living. So for that, it's not staying in comfort of our home in Mumbai. It is about relocation and actually spending time there. So it took time, firstly, to convince our family, our children, that this is what we intend to do. It's not something about any desperation that there isn't like enough financial support. That is why we are getting into this. It was making them understand that this is our noble vision. This is what we want to do. And that's how I started at Navjeevan Blind Relief Center. First was just observing. We were just with the people within the campus. Now, Navjeevan Blind Relief Center, the trust runs an eye hospital. It runs a school for blind children and a hostel for blind children, a senior citizen shelter, as well as a home for destitute children, a hostel for destitute children. Now, within the campus, there was so much to look at, and we needed to find out what is our niche area. For me, being in the education industry for so many years, it came very naturally, like connecting with the children, establishing a bond. And for the center, like, the people at the center and the children, they're very used to donors coming and meeting up with them. So they're just there for a day, maybe. But someone like this who are there to stay with them, that came as a very pleasant, I would say, shock for them. And they really wanted to understand how much is the depth that they will allow us to go into. They did not realize that our commitment would be so strong. So it all started on the 9th of April of 2021, when we came to Tirupati and we started to explore. So a good 8-9 months we were just here. And we found the scope. We literally found the scope of our work, that we can bring about change the children. We can do something for the school in terms of teacher training, providing library. They did not have a library. In terms of computer literacy. Okay. And then also to find out after 10th standard, what did the children do? They may higher education, but when it comes to employability, they're probably at home with them, or they end up in a government job, which probably gives them, designation of maybe a peon or a, clerk. And what is the purpose of education then? If you're qualified with your masters, and some of them even, doctorate, or they are pursuing their doctorate. So idea came that we can do something in the area of employability. So we reached out. Srikanth did all the outreach program, connecting with Enable India, with whom he is a consultant. Enable India works for the employability of individuals with disability. So a lot that they have been doing for visually impaired. So they provided us with the trainers who went through a meticulous process of a recruitment, and we identified 2 trainers for this particular course, which is first of its kind in Chittoor district. And the focus of the employee course involves computer skills, spoken English, and mobility. Because finally, the end of the course, they need to be empowered with these 3 skills.
So, Sudha, you have
So that's
also
how our journey
worked
just
with.
began.
So, Sudha, you just fast forwarded to what you're doing right now. I wanted us to talk a little bit about a little bit of context setting of your early days and how that's shaped your career. But it's you brought us to the present moment where for the past 11 years you have really found a purpose to life and for yourself as well as for the community that you serve. What's interesting, Sudha, is uh, a completely new cohort, which is children. These are girl children, they are orphans, and they are blind. So there's a triple disadvantage that you were working with. How does your background as an emotional intelligence expert, how did you bring that to play? And how does it sort of work in the context of disability, where you are creating a sense of holding the person without making the whole sense of somebody's pitying me? How do you build that sort of a
Yeah.
fine line between helping and supporting versus pitying? And I think a lot of us will learn, and organizations will also learn on this nuance.
Uh, I'm glad you brought that point out. Basically, when we're talking about emotional intelligence, it is about how smart we can be with our emotions. And it's like not about not getting angry. I'm just taking anger as an example. As Aristotle says, it's okay to be angry at the time with the right person in the right proportion. And when that anger is giving you that wisdom to do it and to do it, that's emotional intelligence. Another important skill or very significant skill of emotional intelligence is empathy, and to feel and think for the other person. And my strength is empathy. So building empathy, reaching out, connecting, and you know so not really hold your feelings, expressing it at the right time in the right way. So when we are talking about empathy towards people, empathy towards our fellow citizens, um, I don't know, the thought of empathy never came. It just didn't come. It just didn't come. I saw them as individuals. I saw them, maybe they have one faculty missing, but they are still total. So they can think, they can express, they can move, they can do otherwise anything else which individual does. And no effect. Like in spite of us having all perfect in any way. And that's what nature is showing us, that in our imperfections, in our also, we can try to be perfect sometimes. And it's okay not to be perfect. So it was honestly a learning, but I would say the learning has been so gradual that when it came to empathy, I just saw what they could do. I could sort of understand what they're wanting to express. The main another thing was language, because Tirupati is Andhra Pradesh, so Telugu is the medium, and I don't speak Telugu. So for me, that also was a challenge. But honestly, Deepa, it was about looking beyond challenges. So when we are talking about intelligence, again, there is a skill of emotion management in self, emotion management in others, adaptability. How can you of course, I was always intrinsically motivated, which is again a strength or a core component of emotional intelligence. So I think everything was just wrapped well in terms of preparing me for this big purpose, which I didn't know awaited me. And this of time, even as I talk to you, I feel, I'm almost feeling choked because I feel blessed. It all came at the right
Beautiful.
time.
Yeah. And these children, how did you find them changed in the 12, 11 months of interacting with them? And they're different age groups as well. So can you just highlight a little bit about
Yes,
the younger
yes,
ones and the older ones on the changes that you're observing?
right. So we had this opportunity to just explore. And over here, like Srikanth would be more in terms of more in terms of connecting with the others. He did not really get involved totally with the children initially. So it was left to me. So for me, when I just walked around, I realized, okay, they're looking at you very strangely. As a donor, they would greet you well, all the children, and it's like, they'll ask questions. Did you eat? Did you? Uh, how are you? Very basic questions. But I needed to cross to a lot more. So then started my journey. I befriended a girl named, would like to take her name intentionally because I owe it to her. Okay, my journey here. So Pallavi, this little girl of 8, 9 years, and she was the one I became friends with first. Simply because one, she was warm, she was very accommodating, and she knew Tamil. She didn't know English, but she knew Tamil. And Tamil being my mother tongue, it started becoming more easy for me to converse with her. So then started that friendship, and she knew that, like, I'm good friends with her. We started just little games together, and then she introduced her friend, another 8, 9 year old, and then I had two. The two slowly became, let's say, 10 in that age group of 7 to 11 years, where I could play games with them. My sports background, I am a sportswoman at heart, like literally. So I love to play games. So using games as a method to reach out to build the rapport. So we would play all these interesting outdoor games, or catching cook, or passing the
And these girls are
parcel.
all
So many
blind,
of
right?
these games. No, okay. Let me give you the background. Within the have sighted children, and we have the blind children. Initially, at that time when we came in, it was only the destitute girls. Only the
Okay,
sighted girls were. Blind children were not there because schools were closed at that time due to COVID. Okay.
got it.
So the month of April, I did not really interact much with the blind girls. Okay. Though a few of them were onlookers, and they were just there when I was with all the other children. So my first interaction happened with the sighted girls. And then
Got
they
it.
realized that the whole campus is bubbling with joy, bubbling with enthusiasm, and every evening, or there would be craft work. I would teach them fun with paints, fun with paper. And then slowly it was they who reached out to the blind girls and said, like this, there is one madam and who's teaching us all these things. You can also come. Like, she will not say. So slowly, very, very slowly, that's how it started. So they were also part of the story time sessions that I would share with them, and they would read after me. And they saw that I was over there on a daily basis. So the interactions were more. They started becoming more freer, and then they knew that we are there to stay, and that's how it built. Okay, and then when we restarted, the school started again in July. That's when the founder as well as the vice president, they spoke to me and wanted involved in the school. Okay, the school was for the blind children, and we understood the importance because due in connection with the NEP, Andhra Pradesh government has made all its schools English medium. Like they want to follow English medium, though they've been vernacular all these years. So they realized the need to introduce English. So they requested me to be across from first to 10th standard to help the children learn English, or at least understand the basic language. And there started my journey to be with the blind children, the visually impaired.
So the disability space was new, and after that, you have now, in the last 2 months, got exposed to the new work that you're doing across disabilities at the Manav Kalyan Trust, right? So there you're advisor, teacher development and inclusive education. And here you're going to
Yes.
be working with children across disability spectrum, right?
Yeah. So just to let you know that we started the employability course on the 13th of September, Tirupati. The ex-students of
Okay,
Navjivan Blind School, they were reached out
okay.
to and saying that we are starting a course like this uh, on employability, foundation course in employability skills, which is going to help them about computer skills, about spoken English, and ability. And this is going to be a course free, and to those who really need help, even accommodation would be extended, like they would get accommodation. So that's how this thing started, and we had initially about 18 who enrolled for this course, and of course due to some constraint now it's dropped down to 10, but now this 10 is going strong, and we are closing the course, or it's coming end next month. So we are looking at, we've got the role models where they can, look different people who've excelled in the, who are visually impaired and have excelled. So with this contact, and plus there was a talk which was one of my talks which was aired on hearing that, and plus their Srikanth's contact with the other schools and NGOs in the space of visual impairment. So there was a school in trust in Gujarat, Manav Kalyan Trust. They reached out, connected with him, and said that we would like whatever you at Tirupati, we would like replicated. You tell us what you want, and we'll get it organized. So Gujarat
So you've
happened. We
become
are
like a
not banned
catalyst, huh?
Gujarat. Yes, you use the right word. Yeah, just a catalyst of change. And there is no other basic hold. And over there at Manav Kalyan Trust, the background that they saw, okay, I'm a teacher trainer and EQ, like master trainer. So they requested if I could provide help in mentoring the teachers, provide teacher training. So apart from employability course, which we started over there on the 3rd of December, World Disability Day. So we had 18 participants who enrolled, and now they are 17 of them still there, like 16, 17. So yeah, that started. And then the teachers, the truns for visually impaired and physically disabled. This is an inclusive school, and this is Shivari Mal. And at Navsari in Gujarat only, which is closer to Surat, they run a school for mentally challenged and hearing impaired. So, so in that way, like we we started our journey, and then I took a training program for them. The first phase of the teacher training is what I took up with them.
So I must tell our audience also that Srikanth has also come as our Lumiere Learning Monday guest, and his work that he has done again with the NGOs in the disability space, like Enable India. Uh, so, where are we right now, Sudha? What are the plans for, let's say, the next few years for you and Srikanth?
Uh, Honestly, we are just going with the flow. But what's in the pipeline is listening. Like there are organizations which have sort of come to know about the work that we're doing. So they've reached out to Srikanth, and he's totally really in charge of all the outreach in terms of what is the infrastructure required, and how do you get the faculty for the trainers for these, and what I mean, everything else regarding the, let's say, operations is Kant is in charge of. So there is an organization in Kerala which has reached out to him and said that they would like something like this to start at the earliest. And also something is an organization in Maharashtra, Nagpur, where they are also hoping to do something similar. So we'll just reach out, and all this, not that I want it highlighted, but very humbly, I would say that it's all on a pro bono basis.
Yeah. No, and Sudha,
So
the
it's
important part and what I find
wherever.
fascinating.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm saying what the need for emotional intelligence to go to dovetail with any of the things we do in the employability program, because one of the things we've also heard is the if the employability for it to also be sticky for the person, the candidate to stay on, they also need to build some amount of emotional resilience, which is the ability to take feedback, the ability to dialogue, to speak up, and not come from a place of entitlement that I have special privileges because I have a disability. So I guess some of your training also takes up those aspects or facets of uh, building that emotional intelligence in the person with disability.
Bang on. It starts actually with the use of canes. In fact, there's been a mixed opinion, at least at the grassroots level of those who are visually impaired. Use of cane is like showing the weakness to the others, the sighted community. But this is what I learned from Enable India, that the cane is a strength of the visually impaired. Okay, it is for the others to know, or an indication that such and such person is just stating, or probably an identity which is just saying that he is visually impaired, but he or she is able to do everything else. So a cane is like, you don't take that person for granted as sighted. There to show that okay, such and such a thing is there, like this person may need help, not necessarily needs help. Okay, so it is building the confidence,
May
it is
need help. I
changing the
really like that.
mindset. Yeah, and changing the mindset from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, bringing a lot
Yes.
of positivity. When I'm talking about here again, EI skill of optimism. So it is having realistic, positive thoughts about oneself. So that is optimism. So we are also focusing on optimism. So there is
Yeah.
emotion management, there is adaptability, there is empathy, and it is not really like saying just because I'm VI, I need to enjoy the benefits that are coming my way. It is acceptance and moving forward and being aware,
You know.
emotionally aware at all times.
Yeah. And there's a whole piece, I guess, of work to be done with organizations of how to have employees equipped to embrace and include this person with disabilities. So it's not just DNI, it is not just a number, but you actually try and work to help this person fit in and have a long,
Yeah.
productive work career. Uh, just as anybody
Correct.
else would. So I think there's a lot of work to be done there in the emotional intelligence space as well, Sudha. And we are actually at the end of this segment. But what we wanted to do over here is to showcase this woman leader on the eve of the International Women's Day, doing something to empower and to empower herself to live a life of purpose. Sudha Srikanth, Dr. Sudha Srikanth, thank you for your time, for your passion, for your generosity in sharing in all that you do, and for being such a powerful role model for us.
I'm so humbled with
Thank
your
you.
words. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you.